Last problem for this batch, friends. We're asked to see that this function, written in terms of inputs and outputs, is an automorphism of Z mod 6Z. So automorphism means an isomorphism with itself. And we saw at least one example of this when we were talking about equivalence relations, namely the identity function. But it turns out that lots of groups have extra isomorphisms with themselves, which is a little bit surprising and maybe even a bit confusing, but they turn out to be pretty useful, actually, conceptually. And so this will be our kind of first introduction to this concept. So as always, I need to see that I have a bijection that satisfies the isomorphism equation. We can see here, this is a perfectly good bijection, right? Every input, exactly one output, and life is good. What we need to see is that if I give this function a name, how about we call it f, that f of a plus b equals f of a plus f of b. And plus for both, because the operation it's with itself is plus. And so why would this be true? So of course, it's always possible to go through and just systematically check that it's true. Like check all the possible combinations, or, do what we did last time where we check that, 1 goes to 1 and then 2 goes to wherever, or sorry, 1 doesn't go to 1. 1 goes to, in this case, 5. And then we can check that 1 plus 1 equals 5 plus 5 and so on, and just work through the equation with the generator. But for this particular problem, I want to show you another way of thinking that's very helpful. The key is that mod 6, 5 is the same thing as negative 1, right? Because negative 1 plus 6 makes 5. 4, on the other hand, is 1 less. So that's minus 2, minus 3, and so on. Are we picking up what I'm putting down here? That mod 6, f can be thought of as f of n equals minus n mod 6. And so, of course, this will satisfy this equation because f of a plus b will be minus of a plus b, which is minus a minus b, or f of a plus f of b, right? You could think of this as plus negative b if you want to. And so the moral of the story is that sometimes we find isomorphisms kind of by cleverness, and sometimes we find them by using formulas. And I think this is an instance where you absolutely can do a straightforward calculation where you can check 5 plus 5 is 10, which mod 6 is 4. And so you can do the generator game where this is a generator, this is a generator. But in this case, having some knowledge of how the modular arithmetic is working makes it super easy to just spot that this is an isomorphism. And I think that's a worthwhile skill to have you guys see before the homework.